Hello everyone, this is Minakshi and we are back again with the 7th episode of Corporate Law Updates by the Corporate Law Journal. In today's session, we'll be covering all the latest updates of the regulators of the last week. So let's start this episode with the Securities and Exchange Board of India. A circular was issued by SEBI on September 15 to provide clarification on collection of margins and reporting by the trading clearing members in cash segment. Back in November 2019, SEBI had issued guidelines with regard to collection of margins from clients and reporting of short or non-collection by trading or clearing members. Later in July 2020, SEBI has further modified the provisions due to the representations received from the intermediaries. In the present circular, the board had clarified certain points so as to reconcile with the above two mentioned circulars. If the pay is made by T plus 2 working days or if early pay has been made to the clearing corporation, then the other margins would deemed to have been collected and the penalty shall not arise. If the client fails to make pay in by T plus 2 working days or the same is not collected by the trading or clearing members, then the penalty as applicable shall be levied. The clearing corporation shall continue to collect the upfront VAR plus ELM and other margins from trading and clearing members, and all other provisions from the circulars of 2019 and 2020 shall be applicable as it is. Another circular was issued on September 16, made applicable to all recognized stock exchanges in IFSCs, Infrastructure Investments Trust, Real Estate Investment Trust. SEBI issued the IFSC guidelines in 2015 and Clause 7 of the said regulation talks about the permissible securities, entities and jurisdictions of the IFSCs. It has been decided to permit the units of InvITs and REITs to list on stock exchanges operating in IFSCs pertaining to the conditions prescribed. They shall be notified by the Government of India with respect to the provisions of money laundering rules of 2005, shall be regulated by the securities market regulator in permissible jurisdictions, shall be listed on any of the international exchanges specified in Annexure A of this circular. Stock exchanges in IFSC shall prepare a detailed framework as to the initial and continuous listing requirements for these units proposed to be listed, subject to the approval of RBI and others. The last circular was issued by SEBI on September 17 on mutual funds regarding the uniformity in net asset value and trade execution and allocation. Under the NAV clause, it has been given that the SEBI circular of September 2012 has been modified and it has been decided that the closing NAV of the day shall be applicable on funds available for utilization. The above provision is applicable to all the mutual fund schemes except for the liquid and overnight schemes. Under the Trade Execution and Allocation Clause, it has been decided that the AMCs shall draw a written down policy detailing the specific activities, roles and responsibilities of management, risk and compliance management, back office, etc. The above policy shall be approved by the Board of AMC and trustees and shall be fair and equitable to all the schemes and investors. The notification also provides for detailed compliance conditions pertaining to equity instruments, investments in all instruments, applicability and monitoring of compliances. A press release was also issued on September 19 pertaining to Smart Initiative, where SEBI has invited applications from eligible candidates to be empaneled as securities market trainers for enhancing the investor education activities of SEBI. Smarts are expected to conduct investor awareness programs for existing and prospective investors in the securities market. Applicants may be either an individual or organization working in the field related to law, commerce, management, economics, and financial markets education. Another press release was issued on September 18 on the regulatory measures, where SEBI has decided to continue the regulatory measures introduced through the press release of March 20 until October 29. That was all for SEBI. Moving on to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. The MCA issued an order dated 17 September to continue the order of 18 September 2019, which constituted the Company Law Committee. The order further extends to the tenure of the committee up to 2 years from the date of this order. The Company Law Committee was constituted with an objective of promoting ease of doing business to law-abiding corporates, fostering improved corporate compliance for stakeholders at large, examining and making recommendations to the government on various provisions and issues, The terms of reference of the committee was provided in the order for constitution of committee that was made in 2019. The committee may also consult other stakeholders as part of its deliberations. Vidhi Center for Legal Policy, a non-profit organization, shall provide legal research assistance to the committee. The committee shall submit the recommendations in phases and subject-wise to the government regularly as may be decided by the chairperson. Now let's end this session with our last regulator of the week, that is the Reserve Bank of India. RBI issued a notification on 14 September pertaining to the automation of income recognition, asset classification and provisioning process in banks. RBI issued the guidelines to upgrade systems to ensure the completeness of automated asset classification, provisioning calculation and income recognition processes. Automated IT-based system for asset classification to cover borrower accounts, temporary overdrafts. Frequency of updation would be everyday end process. Exception may be provided for automated classification and not from IRAC norms. System-generated bank logs need to be stored for a period of 3 years. Banks can draw up their standard operating procedure but need to adhere to basic guidelines for the NPA classification given in the annexure. Another notification was issued by RBI on 17 September pertaining to Exim Bank's Government of India supported line of credit of USD 215.68 million to the Government of Republic of Malawi. Export-Import Bank of India, Exim Bank, entered into an agreement dated June 12, 2020 with the Government of Republic of Malawi for the purpose of financing drinking water supply schemes and other development projects in the Republic of Malawi. Financing of export of goods and services from India, their purchase is agreed to be financed by the Exim Bank under this agreement. Shipments under the LOC to be declared in export declaration form as per instructions issued by the RBI. Directions have been issued under Section 10, Clause 4 and Section 11, Clause 1 of the FEMA 1999. Now moving on to the Master Circular issued by RBI called as Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana of National Rural Livelihoods Mission. This circular contains the modifications in DAY NRLM. Interest Subvention Scheme on credit to women SHGs in rural areas is available in two following ways. The Interest Subvention Scheme on credit to women SHG in 250 districts. SHGs would be eligible for interest subvention on credit up to 3 lakh at subvented rate of 7% per annum. Women SHGs have availability of an additional interest in the districts given in Annexure 2. Funding for this scheme to be met out of central allocation under DAY NRLM. Interest subvention scheme for other than 250 districts includes banks shall charge the SHGs as per their respective lending norms and the difference between the lending rates will be 7% subject to a maximum limit of 5.5% to be subvented directly in the loan amounts of the SHGs. Funding for this to be provided to the state rural livelihoods missions. SRLMs must also submit quarterly utilization certificates. So that will be all for today's session, and guys, don't forget to like, comment and share and stay updated for more latest updates from the corporate world.